Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the Virtual Ninja Show. In the rapidly evolving landscape of generative AI, Microsoft stands at the forefront with its innovative Copilot solutions. Microsoft offers various Copilots, including Copilot for Microsoft 365 and Copilot for Security. These intelligent tools transform how we interact with data and enhance productivity. Today, we are going to demystify these various Copilots, and I have three experts with me. So first, Bailey, please introduce yourself.
My name is Bailey Bercik, and I'm a senior product manager on the Microsoft Entra customer experience engineering team.
Thank you. And then Gloria.
Hi, everyone. It's awesome to be here. My name is Gloria Lee, and I'm also a senior product manager focused on helping customer deploy security products and in the customer engineering experience team.
And then Maria, please.
Thank you, Heike. My name is Maria Young. I'm also a senior product manager on the customer experience engineering team, and my product that I support is Copilot for Security.
And I think this brings me to the very first question. Maria, please, can you help us all quickly understand what is Copilot for Security?
Absolutely. So Copilot for Security is Microsoft's security tool that is based on generative AI. So we've been hearing this kind of buzzword all over the place for the past year and a half, 2 years even, about generative AI. What is it? So basically what we did at Microsoft was we decided to take a very specific use case, which is cybersecurity in general, and build a product that was focused specifically on using AI for cybersecurity use cases. Basically, you can think about it as an assistant for people who maybe work in a security operations center, a SOC. So maybe cybersecurity analysts, people who manage devices. Copilot for Security is very, very focused on security use cases, including incident investigations, incident summaries, guided response, demystifying what a script does. So being able to rapidly do that, it can help with, learning new things. So for example, with the junior analysts, it can help to train them and upskill them or help them work a little bit quicker and be able to do tasks that typically maybe senior analysts would be doing normally. So it really is kind of like your little co-pilot, your buddy on the side to help you with cybersecurity use cases. A little bit about how this came about. And I'd like to share this because I was very fortunate to be asked to join the Copilot for Security team before it was even publicly announced. So I've seen it go through so many iterations. And I want to really stress that everything we do with these products at Microsoft is very customer design focused. So even before we officially announced Copilot for Security, we were doing exercises with a few very trusted customers and, being a little bit vague about it. We weren't telling them that we were releasing this product at the time, but we were going through like, okay, how would you feel about this? Or if Microsoft were to develop an AI product for security, how would you think about this? And so we truly appreciate all of the feedback that we get from our customers. And even now that the product is officially generally available to most customers worldwide, we are still on our team using customer feedback in all of our design decisions, etc. So I want to really stress that your feedback matters as a customer, and we are taking that into account. So originally, we had designed it just for SOC analysts. That was the initial persona. It also started out with just a single experience, which was our standalone experience. It was a portal that you can go to, and there was a prompt bar, and you type your question in. It's open prompting. And of course, there's a skill set to be learned with how to prompt effectively to get the answers you want. But based on customer feedback who said, we'd really like this product to meet us where we are in our current workflow, we developed what's called the embedded experiences. So if you go into the Defender portal, into the Entra portal, the Intune portal, etc., purview. You will start to see the little Copilot button that is directly embedded into your existing workflows. So we have added additional experiences based on your feedback directly as customers, and we are going to continue evolving the product. So that's just a very, very brief overview of what Copilot for Security is.
Thank you so much, Maria. And I know that all of you work with customers and get feedback. And of course, it's there's something not working, or some enhancements, or some new things they would like to see. But Gloria, and that's why we also have that episode, there's also some confusion that you heard from the customers you work with. Like, what is that confusion?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as Maria mentioned, so myself, Bailey, we work very closely, and we have the privilege for many, many years, work very closely with some of the largest customers to really put our thought into how to get what customer needs out of when we're developing, working on developing Security for Copilot products. So, for example, we recently had a very large customer on-site conference. And we had brought many customers, 25 plus, to talk about Microsoft Copilot for Security. And the question, as Heike, you had mentioned, was, it's very confusing. You guys have many Copilot products, and especially you also have Copilot for M365. So what is actually the difference? And so I think a really easy way to think about this is that for Copilot for Security, we are really we've engineered the product from a persona base. So it's targeting SOC analysts, like Maria mentioned. And so therefore, it focuses on cybersecurity and incident responses. While Copilot for Microsoft 365, it's actually focused on enhancing productivity. And by assisting tasks like content creation, building presentations, summarizing information, it's really aimed to boost overall productivity in the various Microsoft 365 applications.
And to clarify this is two different products. So
Yes.
Customers can go and say, yes, I would like for my users to be more productive, faster by having a Copilot. And then they can purchase licenses for that product. And then there is Copilot for Security, different product to help analysts get things faster done in the security world. That's
absolutely. It's two very distinctive different products. And you buy the license for one doesn't mean you get the license for the other.
Okay. But I can have both. So if, even an analyst wants to create beautiful PowerPoint slides and might want to get a Copilot for Microsoft 365 Assistant as well.
To add to this, also another question that we commonly get from customers is, of course, about pricing models. Now, we always encourage you to talk to your Microsoft account team for specifics about pricing. However, just to clarify one item, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is based on per user per month pricing. So since it is open to end users, it is a per user per month price model, whereas Copilot for Security is a consumption-based model that focuses on usage. So I just wanted to quickly clarify that.
Thank you. So this brings me to the next, because some Copilots, they do autopilot things. There's also Autopilot. It's a different product, right? It's Intune Autopilot for deployment. That's not what we're talking about. But the Copilot for Microsoft 365 does things for someone, whilst Copilot for Security, in my eyes, also does something, but there is some expectations from customers. Gloria, what's your take on that?
Yes. So really great question there. So out of the customer meetings that we're having, many customers will come out and say, hey, I would like Copilot to just, create a policy for me. I just want it to do something on its own. But that's really not how we've engineered the product, because again, the name speaks for itself. It's Copilot for Security. It's not Autopilot for Security, which means it's still dependent on the persona. So if I'm a SOC analyst, I need to do threat hunting. So I need to know what information I need. And so I can go into the incident and ask for a summary. And then I could do analysis based on questions and what we call prompts. I think other episodes we can watch probably can go deeper into that. But what it is that it's really a copilot that is helping you. Like you have, a helper sitting next to you. So instead of an autopilot, like, hey, I just want you to look at this and then create a policy for me, which kind of is dangerous if you think about it. Because I think us, in the security or even in, as engineers, admins, the analysts, it's very important that we verify the data. And so in the Copilot for Security product, especially, there's skills like Copilot for Security, where when we answer a question, you're saying, okay, can you show me how many times the user logged in the past 45 days as part of the threat hunting process? We're going to tell you. However, we're also going to give you a file that tells you where that information came from in the logs. And that's really, really important.
So if I could add on to that question, like I mentioned before, we are extremely customer focused in our design. And generative AI is a new frontier. It's very exciting, but it can also be scary to people. And so at this point in the product's history, in Copilot for Security's history, we've talked to so many different customers about, okay, in your vision for the product, would you like it to be something where the user always has control and is taking all of the actions based on what Copilot recommends? Or would you like it to be on the other spectrum where it is doing everything for you and essentially replacing your users? Most customers fall in the middle. At this time, they tend to be a little bit more conservative with it, saying like, okay, I would like for Copilot for Security to be a tool to give me the information that I want, but I don't necessarily want it to be taking actions on its own at this point in time until I really can trust it. So we are working on constantly improving the product and increasing trust in it so that perhaps in the future it will be able to do more automated actions. But again, it is in development and we're designing based on customer feedback.
And this reminds me, when I come from the Defender for Endpoint world and we introduced automation and we asked the customers, turn it on, let Defender for Endpoint automatically investigate and resolve incidents. And the trust wasn't there at the beginning, of course, so they needed to gain the trust. And now I think it's probably on by default. I don't even know, but who knows? At some point, Copilot for Security might do things, but we need to get there from a product development, but also trust perspective from customers. So, and then trust also brings another topic with it, with responsible AI. And Bailey, I know you are very passionate about this topic. Tell us a little bit about it, please.
Yes, and it's so important that we're talking about it. I think it's an exciting time in the tech industry to be working in the AI space. I can't speak for Maria and Gloria, but for myself, it's so incredibly exciting to be on such a new product that's going to make waves in the industry. But when we look at building out these AI systems, ensuring that we're doing it responsibly is incredibly key as we continue to grow and make changes and evolve in the product landscape. And when Microsoft thinks about AI, there's a few key principles. Privacy and security, number one, being incredibly paramount, especially when we're looking at building something like Copilot for Security. It's imperative that a tool like that does have the importance of privacy and security at the forefront. Inclusiveness. So when we're building AI systems, it's based off of training data. And we've seen multiple examples historically. And myself and a colleague have spoken on the Uncovering Hidden Risk podcast, which is another Microsoft-based external publication where we've spoken about the importance of inclusivity with AI systems and how not being inclusive can lead to bias, and the importance of making sure that as AI is making recommendations or showing certain things, that it's being done in a way that is inclusive of the industry or of other organizations that might be using these products. Accountability also being key. Transparency in terms of how we're doing what we're doing and what recommendations we're making. Fairness, and then reliability and safety, which again, when we really think about Copilot for Security that the three of us work on, are incredibly key principles that we abide by.
Thank you, Bailey. Before we actually get back to Copilot for security, I know that we are all using Copilot for Microsoft 365. So what are some of the tasks that you use that for? Because we talked about it, right? Scenario-based, it's a user product, productivity product for users. And I know analysts are users too, but Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, wherever you find it. What are you using it for?
Oh, yes. I've got to say, I know customers always say, hey, you guys, test out your own product before, you roll it out. And I think Copilot for M365 is such a, good topic because we're working in a very distinctive team. So when teams started to roll out the feature functionalities like summarizing the meeting, where you can actually ask, in a meeting to say, hey, what are the main topics being discussed? So these were I think, very helpful, like in being a product manager, as we are always in meetings and all days of meetings, and some meetings you cannot attend. So once the meeting's being recorded, you can actually just go back and very quickly and tell teams to summarize the meeting for you. I find that absolutely like mind blowing.
Game changer.
Yeah. And I go back to just watch the recording because obviously we talk about responsive AI and how we should go back and validate the content. So after watching the recording again, I'm like blown away because I think the accuracy is like, 98% accurate like in my mind. But
I know I still remember the time when you watch that video. It's like, wow, it's 50 minutes long, and you try to like skip like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes to then finally get to where you wanted to like listen in. So I love that function too. Yeah.
Yes. And then I think a couple more, which I love is the PowerPoint. It's again, another product that blows my mind is that we have the ability to just open a PowerPoint and then I can launch Copilot, right, from a prompt and say, hey, help me create a PowerPoint to talk about diversity inclusion on this. And I would like to have a slide about statistics, etc. And it will create a PowerPoint deck for you to, it's not that you're going to use that as your final product, but it's a starting point and it's actually amazing. I think it really saves a lot of time. And we can go in also, and I think another thing that I use for is asking, what are some of the documents that are being created for this particular topic across the company? And so that is being shared with me, obviously, not that people, create the document for their own, but the ones that have been shared with me, it's to quickly bring it up. And I think it's really cutting down the time. And one last thing I have to say this, Heike, is that I think all of us, including customers at different organizations, do yearly review or quarterly review. I find it absolutely helpful is when I have to write a review about for somebody or my own, and I can quickly ask Copilot to summarize or kind of brush
rewrite it, write it nicer. Yes, I have the same.
Love it. Yes.
Yes. My favorite is, you get these emails that are going around the thread for like 6 weeks or 9 months, and then you get added. Can you help? And I was like, what's going on? Like, you have that huge email thread, and then I can say summarize, and then I get the summary, and I have something short to read, and I know what I'm answering. Before Copilot, I always answered, can someone please summarize for me?
Yeah.
And then I saw awesome examples of people, getting prepared for the next day or like in the evening, hey, summarize all the meetings I accepted, that I have tomorrow. Who are the customers? Like there's so much power behind it to get ready and prepared for something. I will ask Maria as well for one example that you like, if we didn't mention it already.
Sure, yes. I think all of the Copilots that Microsoft has are very interesting. One thing that's similar between Copilot for security and Copilot for Microsoft 365 is that they both have kind of that standalone experience and the embedded experience. So the standalone, of course, is the portal where you can do open prompting. The embedded experience is where the Copilot symbol is popping up in different other portals that you might be using. Like for Copilot for M365, it might be Teams, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, etc. But one thing that I recently found out that I am just obsessed with Copilot for M365, I go into the standalone portal for Copilot for M365, which is at copilot.microsoft.com, and I type in, help me find the PowerPoint that I was working on with Alice and Bob last week about network security. Okay,
No.
we have so many different Teams chats going on, and people are sharing individually from their OneDrives, and I can never find documents, even if I save them or I save the URLs to them. But now when I go into Copilot for M365, I just say, help me find this document, and I kind of describe it. I don't need to remember what it was called, and I just love that. I have to say that's my favorite feature of Copilot for M365.
That's why I'm asking you all, because I love learning that, because I'm constantly searching for a PowerPoint presentation that someone shared with me or something. So good. Bailey, and yours.
Yes, so I struggle with writer's block. So just the getting started, whether it's creating a spec or a certain one pager or responding to an email, especially when it might be an email that might have a lot of history to it. So to your point, needing the summary. And then once I get the summary, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have to, respond in a way that might need to be particularly tactful for the situation or whatnot. And so I found that the Copilot baked into Outlook has been incredible for that to get me started. And also the embedded experience within Word has been very helpful for coming up with one pagers or documents that I need to write. I can even ask it to create a draft for a one pager on a particular topic, and it'll pull those insights based off of what I've been working on and create that for me. So to Gloria's point earlier, it's not the final product, but it's something that's getting me to where I need to go and getting over that hump of, okay, what are my sections going to be about, or how am I going to kick this off? And I found it to be instrumental in terms of my workflow of leveraging it.
So now we get back to Copilot for security. And you already talked about it, Maria, that it has different experiences, right? So both have the standalone experience and then the embedded experience. And I think the beauty also, and I don't know about Copilot for Microsoft 365, but Copilot for security, we can work with multiple products, right? So you have the plugins that help you plug to different sources. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, it's absolutely fantastic. So kind of going back a little bit to the history of Copilot for security, when we first started developing the product, we were very narrowly focused on this persona of the SOC analyst. And so a lot of our skills that we were building in the product and our use cases were based on use cases that someone working in Defender, for example, would be using. And so that's kind of how we started. We started a little bit small. And then over time, we started thinking like, okay, any security analyst or anyone who works in cybersecurity, they are not using a single tool, right? They're not just using Defender. They are using so many different tools. I was on site at a customer a few months ago, and I asked them, how many tools do you use in your day-to-day world? And they actually said 90. Their SOC analysts have 90 tools.
Crazy.
So
how many of them do they really need? You didn't ask that,
I'm not
right?
sure. I'm not sure how many they actually use, but the point is, we realized that SOC analysts and people who are in device management roles and people managing identities for their organization, those types of roles, these are all very important for Copilot for security, right? So we started first with our integrations with our first-party Microsoft products within the security suite. So of course we have Entra for the identity use cases. We have Intune for device management use cases, purview for compliance, etc. So we started working directly with those teams at Microsoft, the teams that specifically develop those products. And we are working extremely closely with them to see, okay, what use cases do your customers need, and how can we build those skills into the product to make it so that it's not just narrowly focused to the SOC analyst persona, but other IT admins across our customers' organizations can also find value in using Copilot for security. So, we've been working with all of these different teams across Microsoft to develop all of these different skill sets. So the product is rapidly expanding. Even more so, we have our partner community, so our MSSPs and ISVs that we're working with. We also recognize that customers are not always using all Microsoft products. They have other products that they're using in their operations that are not Microsoft. So we're also working to introduce some non-Microsoft plugins so that they can connect to those services. And so really we are trying to make this the ultimate AI tool for security analysts, IT admins, etc., who are doing anything with these types of use cases to make it much, much easier for them to get their job done. We're also, again, looking at customer feedback and trying to focus heavily on the tasks that customers enjoy doing versus the ones that take a lot of time and take a lot of, mental power to have to do. So, for example, customers have told us that they love investigating security incidents, but they hate writing the reporting for it afterwards, right? But we know that the reporting is very important. So we're focusing on, okay, how can we use AI to summarize what was done, summarize what's going on in this incident, so that the analyst then doesn't have to do that and they can focus more on those high value tasks that they enjoy doing. So we're taking that other load off of them as well.
Like to add on what Maria said, it's on point. And wanted to add on is that definitely, we are spanning our product to focus on different personas, right? It's not persona outside of security. I think what we think about security now is a team sport. We talk a lot about Microsoft. We talk about a lot about zero trust mindset because security does span different teams and organizations. And so a lot about the risk-based access controls, like who would have the permission to actually query the logs. But in a way, earlier we talked about if you are a SOC analyst, you have to participate in the threat hunting process. What that means is that you may have to touch the tools that we develop on the identity side, which normally, and look at some of the policies that normally a SOC analyst would not have to touch. So a lot about RBAC control is something that we thought into now, one, to make sure that we apply to our product and span across, because the zero trust is to verify explicitly, use least privilege access and assume breach. So we want to make sure that the different teams also can come in and participate into, to make the organization more secure all across. And so, yes, we are expanding scenario focus and encompass multiple products.
Yeah. And because you mentioned access and authentication and such, I think, Bailey, right, it's also important to clarify again that my Copilot has my rights, like access to my data. It doesn't have access to your data and other data. If I ask for, do something for me, it can only read the data that I'm able to read. So I think that's also important to emphasize here.
Excellent point, Heike. So you're correct that it is attached to you. So again, thinking about that model of a Copilot, if you're flying the same plane, the Copilot isn't flying a separate plane. So it's able to see, that's just the mental model I'll use to customers, and it goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. So if I'm thinking about the resources I have access to, the tasks I'm able to accomplish, Copilot in context is able to assist you with those tasks and bits of information. One thing that I encourage a lot of customers to do if they're playing around with Copilot for security especially is to run a certain prompt in the standalone experience and then see what response they get when they PIM elevate up into a privileged role. you're going to get a different response with different data based off of the access and the abilities that you have, the privileges and permissions as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Alice and Bob, who may have the same title but may have different permissions, also are running the same prompt, they're going to get different responses. So I think it's very key that we think about these in the context of the user. So some folks have, to your point, gotten a little bit confused and thought that Copilot for Security or the other various Copilots have access to everything and anything within your environment. And it's really scoped to that particular user that's running those prompts.
I think that was a perfect closing of our beautiful discussion here. Thank you three so much for joining me, for having this nice talk and clarifying, demystifying the different Copilots. I hope everyone out there enjoyed our episode and see you soon. Bye.